Ready, play.
To welcome Pam Shriver. Pam, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you.
Hey Brandon, thanks for having me. It's kind of a fun. I'm in Los Angeles where I've lived for about 25 years, but I was originally from the Baltimore, Washington area. That's where I made my pro debut in January of '78, and to have seen the Washington D.C. tournament conclude in such a dramatic fashion last night was quite spectacular, and it was weird watching it with my family here in LA and Darren Cahill, who was over for a barbecue, and to watch my home area put on such a great show despite some tough weather was really fun.
No, seriously, it was such a fun, exciting, drama-filled match. Tell me a little bit about last night. How was the experience? Obviously, hosting a barbecue with friends and family, but you're also joined by Darren Cahill. What a
We,
fun night.
yeah, if you're gonna have a barbecue, might as well have a good old Aussie over. My kid's dad, George Lazenby, is Australian, and my kids are dual citizens. And Darren did an amazing job with two large tomahawk steaks, cooked it perfectly. Talk about pressure. But we had a good old chat about, we've been on the same ESPN team. I met Darren back in 1979 when I was competing in Australia for the first time when he was just 15 years of age. We practiced in Adelaide. So we've been friends a long time, and what he's done in the coaching world is incredible. And he did sort of reflect on, he's trying to figure out his coaching, where he is in his coaching career. He's also such a great broadcaster, and he was really thinking that 2026 would be devoted a lot more to his broadcasting and really try and further that end of his talent. But he's probably the greatest coach of all time. And Sinner evidently made a bit of a bet the night before the finals when Sinner was going to play Alcaraz, that if Sinner won, that Darren would stay on. And Darren's kind of said, "Okay, listen, you win, and at least we'll have the discussion. I'll be open to continuing, but let's just make sure you win it." So I think, still to be decided by those two, but obviously from Sinner's standpoint, you want to keep Darren Cahill on the team. And if you're Darren, it's kind of hard to leave someone who's showing he's such a physical and mental giant in the game the way Sinner is. So we'll see. And in the meantime, it was fun watching with Darren that extraordinary conclusion of Washington D.C. when obviously Alejandro Davidovich Fokina could not win another tournament where he had championship points. But Alex de Minaur, Australian, so Darren has known Alex since he was a junior in Australia. It was just kind of a cool night, and a cool way to wrap up a fun week of tennis.
Wow, wow. Well, thank you for that news, Pam. We did hear rumors just a few days ago that Darren Cahill wouldn't be joining Jannik Sinner at the U.S. Open. So I think now that might patch up the story a little bit and confirm that he should be there upon further
Well,
discussion.
yeah, and it's sometimes hard to know what news or what you're hearing, how to get to the source. And it's I'm so proud of how, and then we'll conclude our discussion about Darren Cahill. But to see Darren, who had a solid tennis career, but physically his knees went, and he's taken his knowledge of his dad being one of the greatest Aussie football coaches of all time, and he's taken that knowledge of how to be a great coach, applied it to tennis, and it's great to have him as a friend. And also that he would go and visit my kid's dad on his way back to his pad. He had a nice 15-20 minute visit with George Lazenby, so two Australian legends.
Side, I want to ask you about kind of being on the other side of that, the losing end, and that was Anna Kalinskaya yesterday. She lost to Fernandez in the final. She was in a final earlier this year in Dubai where she lost to Paulini. Can you just talk a little bit about the kind of maybe the mental aspect? And we obviously saw it with Fokina, Davidovich Fokina last night. That was his third final this year. He's come up short, and he's been to four in his career. So he's come up short every time. So can you just talk a little bit about, losing in a final, how it weighs on you mentally? Can it be a problem?
Oh, yeah. Whenever I see someone lose championship points, and it was interesting watching with Darren Cahill last night as we saw Davidovich Fokina unable to win the match points. And while it was still going on, or maybe it was just after it over, Darren reflected what it felt like to be in the coaching box during Roland Garros when Sinner had three championship points to win a major and didn't close it out, and the devastation that the whole team felt. Obviously, a tour level tournament, you could see from Alejandra's experience how painful it was, especially on the heels of a few months ago. He had the same situation, very similar in Delray Beach, had championship points. There was a let cord that the eventual winner would hit. I think it was Kecmanovic.
Sure.
That was, it was just a fraction. I mean, he's literally come within a half inch of winning 2 titles this year. Split that half inch in 2, apply the half inch to his benefit, and he's got 2 titles. That's tennis. So it's the mindset, and you could see the 2 players with the best mindset on the weekend was Alex de Minaur and Leila Fernandez. Now there were 2 very different finals. One was like went down to the last point, and the other one was kind of an easy win. And Kalinskaya's point was, well, why didn't she bring the same form to a final? Sometimes you're physically just you're worn out, but a lot of times it is the mindset, and this is the gold of tennis. And we've seen it with Sinner. Like he just showed us in tennis probably the greatest mindset reset ever, which is coming out of Roland Garros devastation and then winning Wimbledon. And I think all tennis players, and this is something I tried to work with Donna Vekic on for 2.5 years when I was on her team, is how to improve the mental side, how to develop the skills so that you can be the most resilient, strongest between the ears out there, because generally that player will be the winner.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.